Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler, and this is Karnage. This is Tezzerator Karnage, to be more specific. This is a crazy deck that I spotted online a while back, and I've been tinkering with it a little bit, getting some of the new stuff in there, right? So here we go. We're basically a Tezzerator deck. If you don't know what that is, it's an old archetype from the days of Extended. We're basically Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas, or originally Tezzeret the Seeker, the 5-mana mono blue Tezzeret. This is the backbone of the deck, right? Where all these different artifacts that have value. And now we get to add Karn into that mix. Our colorless Planeswalker great in this deck, and a little bit of Jace for another win condition. So basically, we're a Thopter Foundry deck, right? Remember this combo that got unbanned in Modern and was supposed to break the format? Thopter Foundry plus Sword of the Meek. For every mana you have, you can sacrifice Sword of the Meek. Goes to the graveyard, you gain a life, make a token. Well, that token's a 1/1 and brings Sword of the Meek right back. So you make a 1/1 flyer and gain a life for every mana you have once you have these two in play. And of course, if you have access to your graveyard and so on, right? So that's basically the core of the deck. And the things that exist to make that work are Ensnaring Bridge, right? You get rid of all the cards in your hand, you go Hellbent. Well, that's pretty freaking good because now your opponent is unable to attack you. But on your turn, you draw a card. Now you can attack with all your 1/1 flyers. Whir of Invention ties everything together, of course. It's basically a Whir deck as much as it's a Tezzerator deck. Improvise, you can use all your artifacts to help cast a spell. You can get whatever you need out of your deck. And that means you get a lot of play. You get to play a lot of cool silver bullets like Grafdigger's Cage, keep creatures from coming in. Like Pithing Needle, get to stop whatever's about to kill you. Like Damping Sphere, new one from Dominaria here against Storm, Tron. Boom. Main deck. 5 copies of this, thanks to Whir of Invention. Plus, you can get it off of your Tezzerets and so on. So, basically, it's kind of the core of the deck, and everything else just fills in around that. We have the Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meek combo that we can get with Tezzerets, that we can find with Jace, that we can get with Whir of Invention, that we can put into our hand with Karn. A lot going on here with that. And then everything else just fills in. You know, Thirst for Knowledge works with artifacts. Good card draw. Thoughtseize, you just need some amount of interaction. So here we are with the Thoughtseize. Bauble speeds you up. It's a 0-drop artifact. It helps you hit Metalcraft for Mox Opal. It helps your Whir of Inventions. Plus, it can cycle. 1 Welding Jar in the main deck, so you can regenerate on demand if you need to against something. And then that's it, right? The mana base, we have an Inventor's Fair in here. We've got a lot of blue-black lands. We have Academy Ruins, of course. We have 1 splash of green because in the sideboard, we have access to Abrupt Decay, and this is what you need for your Stony Silences of the world. We also have a Padim to give our stuff hexproof. Pretty good. We have Damnations, the board wipe, Brutalities for burn and where you need discard. So I'm just filling in here with more Graveyard Hate and Thoughtseize action. But I love this part of this. Ensoul Artifact. When you need to go beat down, if Ensnaring Bridge is not very good against your opponent, you just need to kill them. Well, you bring in these 3 Ensoul Artifacts, turn your 0-drops into a 5/5, and all of a sudden you're attacking for 5 on turn 2. With this deck, and you follow that up with more, and that's where something like Karn becomes very good, and you make these contract artifacts. And what I like about Karn in the deck is that you can make the tokens when the game's not going well for you. If you don't have a bridge down or a way to get one, making tokens is good. And if you do, you can find cards, but you have control over it, right? To an extent, anyways. You don't want to plus it when you have the can't cast it, right? But in general, it will be very good when it comes into play. So it's got a lot going for it here. And hey, worst case scenario, if we have a bridge out, I'm going to be okay, right, with Karn and maybe not being the best draw in that situation because it's so good in so many other scenarios here. Turn 3 Karn in Modern, very strong. We've seen this in every format, as a matter of fact. Karn's just great. There you go, everybody. That is the deck. We are doing it. Tezzerator Karnage. As you know, some very clever wordplay here would suggest. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Corbin Hostler. This is Mighty Modern. Thanks for watching. Let's get to the games. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler. We're going to mulligan this one. Our deck is pretty great, though. Yeah, I suppose we're in. We have a Chase and a Thoughtseize. Good enough, right? That's a redraw with a little bit of information. May as well bottom it. We are on the draw here, it looks like. Whew. Our opponent faithlessly looting on turn 1. All right. What are we looking at over there? Would this be Black-Red Hollow one? It might be. Might be something else. Nice foil on whatever mountain here, unhinged. All right. Getting rid of a Kolaghan's Command and another Faithless Looting, huh? Interesting. I don't know exactly what's up, but let's find out. Thoughtseize, Liliana, and Dreadbore, huh? Wow, those are good cards. Well then. Thoughtseize is annoying. I want to protect my Jace, but Thoughtseize or Dreadbore take out Jace. Meanwhile, Liliana just probably wins the game for them. So let's get that thing on out of here. We can maybe play Thopter Foundry next turn. Maybe play something else. Maybe nothing, I suppose. Wow, our opponent actually doesn't want to Thoughtseize us. Well, that's pretty good for us then. In that case, we get to play a Thopter Foundry. Which, yeah, sure, it guarantees that our opponent will be able to take Jace with Thoughtseize. But, I mean, let's be honest, that was probably happening regardless. Alright, well, we have a turn 3 Jace. I suspect they will be Thoughtseizing us this turn. But if for some reason, let's say they draw Liliana and they decide it's better to Liliana us, well, then we could play Jace next turn. Alright, Pyromancer into Thoughtseize. Well, now we're in trouble because young Pyromancer will run away with the game. Good news is their Dreadbore's dead. We don't have too many things that can hit in our deck, and certainly not doing anything at the moment. Unfortunately, drawing land for us is pretty terrible. If our opponent gets greedy and tries to attack with the young Pyromancer, I guess I get to throw a Mox Opal in front of it. Yeah, this is very bad for us. Now they can just pitch this. I don't know if it's black. Looks like it might just be black-red Pyromancer, not Mardu Pyromancer, but it's going to be... Oh, no, it's Mardu Pyromancer. Oh, they did walk into our trap, though. That's something. It may or may not be enough to matter. I mean, these Lingering Souls in the graveyard can kill us very quickly, but drawing a lot of lands, too. Good news, though, is that we have lots of outs. We can hit Whir next turn. Next turn, we can hit Whir for Bridge. So we have... That's 4 outs. We have 2 bridges themselves, so we're up to 6 things we can hit. We can hit draw spells. We can hit planeswalkers that we have a couple turns to try to squeeze out some value here. So I would not say things are dire. All right, we'll go ahead and save the draw for our turn. We're taking, some amount of damage here. It's like 5. We don't have a lot of time, but we do have basically 2 to 3 draw steps from when I said that, right? Which is, this is one of them. So it's now we have 2 more draws to hit. We have 6 actual outs and then other cards that are good. Also, we could hit Sword of the Meek. So add in 2 more cards there that probably win us the game. So it's 8. I don't know. 8 out of 48. Could be worse. 1 out of 6. Cards that directly, I think, win us the game. Although I say that, we have this land in hand, so we'd have to hit something else we can play, which may not be so easy. Now, all 4 Lingering Souls in the graveyard, huh? All right. Let's see what our opponent's going to draw next turn. We're going to draw a Thoughtseize. Okay. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. Those aren't exactly where we want to be. I've seen worse, but... Champion Sphere is not bad against our opponent. It's a little late to be good. It would have been good like 4 turns ago, but it could be worse. At least we have some throwaway artifacts here to gain some life with our Thopter Foundry, right? We can sacrifice the Darksteel Citadel. I mean, to be honest, I think I'm throwing the Darksteel Citadel in the way anyways. Just to prevent, the 1 damage this thing's going to deal us over the next several turns. Unless our opponent wanted to Lightning Bolt this, which they do. Fair enough. That means they are going to have a hard time casting another spell. I don't think I want to throw away anything else here this turn. Because we need this extra... Oh, maybe. All right. All right, here we go. Come on, deck. Work with me, please. Might work. I have 3 artifacts. This could work. We can sacrifice it into turn to get Sword of the Meek. Okay, so I think that I have to make a decision is what I have to do. I think that I'm going to activate Inventor's Fair, since I can only do this while we have 3 artifacts. Then sacrifice the Damping Sphere. No, the Damping Sphere at least has a little bit of value. I guess sacrifice the Pentad Prism to Thopter Foundry to make one so that we don't take 5 and then get double bolted out of the game. If we only take 4, we still get double bolted out of the game. We'd be at 5. Or we'd be at 6, which is still get double. But then we could sacrifice and not die. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Playing a little safe here. We know our opponent has Thoughtseize, but that doesn't matter because we don't care if it's in our graveyard. Alright, get the Sword of the Meek to our hand here. Now use Thopter Foundry to sack Pentad Prism. Go to 10. Take 4. Go to 6. I mean, for what it's worth, our life total does still kind of matter. Because it's not like this just instant wins the game. I mean, our opponent obviously has more damage. I am glad that I used these last couple turns to just kind of sacrifice some extra artifacts to prevent life loss, though. That way our opponent just can't go around. The worst thing would be being 1 turn short on this, like basically 1 mana or 2 short. So with that said, I'm actually going to sacrifice Damping Sphere in the end step here. Oh no, I can't do that, as I need it to sacrifice to start the loop. Wow, Welding Jar was a nice draw, though. Zero cost artifact, exactly what we needed. I don't think our opponent has any way to interact with our stuff, so I'm going to take advantage of that to sacrifice the Welding Jar. I don't think they have anything to... Well, we saw K command, so maybe they do. So maybe I sacrifice the Damping Sphere. Maybe I do nothing and just pass the turn. How about that? When our opponent attacks, we can do stuff. I think we're going to be good here. I think we're going to turn the corner. We have a lot of mana. And I don't think the Damping Sphere matters, so I think that's what we sacrifice. I think it's better to keep the Welding Jar up to regenerate this in case there's Kolaghan's Command shenanigans. Wow, this was a really close game, actually. Alright, we'll see. Our opponent might surprise us here and have something, but I don't think so. I think once things are in play, the Mardu Pyromancer deck has a hard time turning the corner. In terms of interacting, you know. Interacting with artifacts that work from your graveyard. Hard to do, and if they could have killed Thopter Foundry, they would already, so... It's going to take us a minute to win, but we're making 5 of these a turn and gaining life at the same time. We're going to get to eat all these elementals, so on. Once this combo gets going, it almost always wins the game. You have to deal with it the turn it happens. Our opponent would need to go wide enough this turn to kill us, or, you know, it's going to be very difficult for them to get there. Essentially need an alternate way to win, because this young Pyromancer beatdown is not going to get it done. And having Welding Jar out is pretty nice. I suppose the only way things would go bad is if our opponent had a Kolaghan's Command. Well, it doesn't matter. If they have Kolaghan's Command, it would be different. Okay, so yeah, we'll just go ahead and take all these elementals off the board. Be at a pretty comfortable 11 life here. have the welding jar to prevent anything. And that'll do it. It'll be a minute before the game actually ends. We've got to loop through this enough times to eventually feel comfortable turning our Thopter sideways. But for all intents and purposes, I believe we've got there. What if our opponent would have been better off just making a bunch of Lingering Souls tokens? In fact, it's interesting they didn't flash back a Lingering Souls on their turn. So they actually did nothing with their mana. So that's curious. They do have the Kolaghan's Command. Well, conveniently, I have a welding jar. Wow, what a great draw welding jar was. Oh man, that's pretty sick. Yep. Sorry, friend. Oh, what a blowout that was. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this now, that in case our opponent has more Kolaghan's commands. I don't want them to be able to use it on our Thopter Foundry in response to us starting to combo off or whatever, and then we don't get a bunch of tokens and we find a way to lose. So I'm going to not do that. Oops, clicked the wrong thing there. Alright, I do not believe I have any more. I don't have another island to fetch with this, so we'll go ahead and pass the turn here. Alright, well, corner turn, that welding jar was so clutch. I see why our opponent didn't scoop. I mean, that was a very good card for them to have, but now they're out of elemental tokens. Our board's pretty big. Even if they were to kill it now, you know, we'd be back to a position where we have a bunch of outs and we're ahead on board. I'm not sure what our opponent does to get out of it now. This was a close game. Mardu Pyromancer is obviously a tier 1 very good deck. And we were able to get there. We had the draws and we had good, reasonable odds over those 4 or 5 draw steps. We had to get there and we did. Now the Lingering Souls flashback starts, but too little too late. Go ahead and fetch now for F6 purposes. Bringing in the 1, huh? All right. Call your bluff. Did it. Alright, Pentad Prism. Let's go ahead and get this out there. And I'm comfortable attacking now. We have plenty of life. Because we have a second artifact, we can actually respond to any artifact destruction by restarting the combo. Wow, that welding jar was so insane for us. What a draw. We had enough of a buffer off the 1 turn we got from it that even if that Kolaghan's Command had resolved, the game would not have been over by any means. But that was pretty sick. Yep, and I'm just going to go ahead and use all my mana, including Pentad Prism mana at the end of the turn, to make more Thopters and try to end this game quickly. Like I said, I don't know if our opponent has a 3rd Kolaghan's Command or not, but you're not going to outpace us with this either, so. But I would like to end the game as quickly as possible. I suppose we're ahead on clock for what that's worth. Alright, let's do it. It's really annoying I have to click yes every time to return the Sword of the Meek. I can yield to its ability, but I still have to click yes that I actually want to use the ability. And I don't know if it's because it's not on the battlefield or what, but Magic Online won't let me right-click and say always yes. Yeah, it's annoying. Alright, there we go. Our opponent scooped. Good enough. On to game 2, where we're going to have to deal with who knows how much. I definitely want some Damnations in here. Definitely want Padim as well, I think. And Soul Artifacts are awfully tempting. Basically, do we want to be the beatdown or the control deck here? And given that they have a bunch of tokens to block forever, I think we want to be the control deck. For what it's worth, we have a lot of cards to do that. Alright, I don't think we need Pithy Needle. I don't think we need Damping Sphere. We don't need this many Collective Brutalities. It is pretty good against them, but we don't need that many Damnations. Now, all of the rest of this is fine, and this is a lot of cards. So I'm going to cut one Thopter Foundry. I'm going to cut the Cage. Whatever, if they want to flash back their... I mean, it is pretty good against flashback stuff, I guess, so maybe it's not the worst thing here. I think we'd probably cut a Sword. I think you generally cut combo pieces post-board. The idea is pre-board, they don't really have an answer to it, but post-board they will. We got to cut some 4s. That's clearly the answer here. I do like giving our stuff hexproof, and this actually blocks pretty well as well, so... Jace might be the worst of the Planeswalkers here. Pretty good on an empty board. It's just the worst of the Planeswalkers. That feels so bad to say, but it just doesn't have enough loyalty. Karn goes up to 6, this goes up to 5, and Karn at least will give you a payoff. It gives you payoffs, and this your plus doesn't necessarily do that, especially when your opponent's playing a Faithless Looting deck. All right, so we're definitely playing the control game, so this might just be too much removal. Cut an Abrupt Decay. Maybe cut a Tezzeret. Because we're already heavy on the top end here. Now we still need to cut one, huh? Maybe since we have the Brutalities, we just go for 3 Thoughtseizes. That or we cut like a Bobble, which might be correct. I don't know. Our deck doesn't run a ton of land. We only have 21 mana sources, and we're playing 4 drops, so... Or 21 lands, rather. Now this hand is pretty sweet, though. It's a turn 3 Karn with a Thoughtseize, although our opponent goes first, so if they have their own Thoughtseize, they're going to take our Karn. Or a Damnation. This hand's pretty good, though. Yeah, game 1, we wanted a turbo combo. We did it. And that will take our... Probably our Thoughtseize. Yeah. But in games 2 and 3, you want the combo pieces, obviously. That way, you know, if you draw one, now your Whir of Inventions can go get the others. But you can't just go all in on them. Look at that. Our opponent just tearing apart our hand. That said, making this be turn 4 instead of turn 3 is a big deal, but I think you're hoping for better when you Inquisition somebody. Alright, there's a Whir. Long way from doing anything with that Whir, but I'm not going to be sad about having Whir. Hopefully our opponent's out of discard now, and we can use this to get a bridge later. You know, we can play Karn, see what happens there. We can Damnation away their board. Play this control game, and then hopefully slam the door with a Whir of Invention for Ensnaring Bridge. Certainly the plan anyways. Or not. That was the plan, and no one has a plan after you get Inquisition number 3'd. Is this Thoughtseize now? Our opponent has more? Oh, Faithless Looting. That's pretty good for them. What I do like about Mardu Pyromancer is the Faithless Lootings. It's actually used fairly. And this card, I'll say it's on the verge of being the most broken card in Modern right now in terms of the decks it enables. If you think about it, Dredge, Hollow One, like these aren't necessarily good decks for Magic, right? They just do things that you can't really interact with. But Mardu Pyromancer uses it fair, the way the card was, you know, quote unquote meant to be used, which is pretty sweet. All right, we get a breeding pool with this one. What's crazy to me there is that our opponent discarded Young Pyromancer. So they obviously, you know, look at our Damnation and, you know, are worried about it, which is good for us. But the fact that they don't even want to make us burn it by keeping that Damnation means the 2 cards they did keep in hand, probably pretty good. It's possible they drew into Thoughtseize or something and want a Thoughtseize Karn out of our hand. Or they have Dreadbore to Dreadbore it once it hits play, but we're going to get value out of it regardless by then. Maybe not a ton of value, but value. Oh, or it's a Liliana. Well, that's pretty good. That's certainly going to be the hardest one to beat. It is beatable, though. Karn is pretty good against Liliana. Our opponent is just all in on Liliana here, too. Well, I'm going to be all in on Karn. Now, the problem for us, and this is a real concern, is we have to think, is our opponent's last card Dreadbore to kill Karn? Because if it is, it's very bad for us. I could use Karn, minus Karn, give us a 1/1 to poke at Liliana. I think that's worse, though. Because our opponent has to have exactly one card to punish us. Alright, the 2 cards revealed. Oh, double land. Alright, well. That's the other side of this coin, is even if they do have the Dreadbore, we have lands to discard. We can cast everything in our deck now. We do have to worry about the ultimate, so that's a real thing. In fact, it's a very real thing. We don't have a lot of ways to pressure Liliana, so... Got to keep that in mind. Moving on both, so we can't even... Yeah, that's pretty bad. We may be forced into making a token next turn. Our opponent doesn't have anything, so... And now we can clear the way with Collective Brutality if we want. I think that's what we're going to do. Is we have to pressure the Liliana. Even if it's just poking Liliana. Oh, Tezzeret, huh? Oh, no. That's scary. Yeah, that's terrifying. Oh, man. Oh, that's really good. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Gosh, if they hit land, they get to play that and then plus up Liliana. That's so bad for us. I guess I have to do this. I mean, Ensnaring Bridge doesn't even beat it because they can just... Ugh. Oh, we took the Pithy Needle out. Oh, please don't hit a land. Oh, it's a tap land. We have life. Oh, not much of it, but we have life. They're going to make a sack a creature. This is still bad for us, but I guess we can hit a Thoughtseize now. Doesn't really work. Yeah, we're back to plussing Karn, I think. At least we minus Liliana, so we have some time to try to deal with it. We hit a Thirst for Tomorrow and a land. Okay. So, I can play land and Grafdigger's Cage and Ensnaring Bridge. And then we'll discard the Damnation. Well, we have a few things working in our favor now. Not a lot. I really don't know what the answer is to this. I wish I still had the Pithing Needle. Which I do not. Yeah, the Liliana's going to be a big problem. Our opponent can for sure guaranteed play Tezzeret now. Tezzeret can't attack. It will kill us, 8 turns from now or whatever with its ability. But we get to go off with Karn, right? That's our saving grace here, is that we get to play a bunch of Karn. And hope that Karn's good enough to beat Liliana. I don't know if it will be. And I guess I should have kept the Pithing Needle in. We kept the Grafdigger's Cage in instead, and man, I wish it was not that. It's still good. I mean, it turns off the Lingering Souls coming back. It's certainly good. We can also minus Karn here to get Thirst for Knowledge into our hand. And one of the beautiful things also, it's worth noting about the new rules or whatever, is that this deals damage to each opponent. So it'll hit us, but he can't redirect it to Karn. All right, get our Mox Opal out here. Minus Karn to get back Thirst for Knowledge. May as well just play Thirst for Knowledge here in the main phase. We'd also Abrupt Decay this, so... I guess we'll discard it. artifact. Play land. Play Thopter Foundry. Alright, we might have turned the corner here. I say that because I will gladly throw away this Mox Opal to Thopter Foundry to give us a 1/1 flyer to start hitting Liliana. And this Tezzeret's ability is a long way away from killing us. That was a nice... That worked out very, very well for us. Alright, let's see what our opponent found. That's it. Okay, that's not good for them. Alright, I think we're going to get there. What a crazy game, though. Okay, so we'll use the Thopter to poke Liliana while we can. Back to plussing Karn. We drew a not land, so we don't have to worry about getting multiple lands stuck in our hand. Whew! These are the things with silver counters on them? They give us a Thoughtseize or a Collective Brutality? Yeah, it makes sense to take Thoughtseize. Just gonna Thoughtseize myself. There's not even... No, maybe I'm not... There's not even a reason to not have 2 cards in our hand. Our opponent doesn't have haste. We can just Thoughtseize ourselves next turn if we need to. Unfortunate thing for us is we actually don't have any artifacts to sacrifice to Thopter Foundry. Because I'm not getting rid of Bridge, obviously. I'm not getting rid of Cage. So that means we actually can't do any more than 1 damage a turn to this. And that's fine. Oh, Padim, huh? You don't say. That's a pretty good one. Let's go ahead and start by... What could we... I can get Collective Brutality with Karn. I can make a token with Karn. Or I can plus Karn. But actually... I guess it's fine. I guess plussing Karn's just fine because it almost doesn't matter what our opponent gives us because, you know, sort of, you know, in most worlds, you always need, basically your Ensnaring Bridge needs to be, you need to be hellbent so they can't attack. But in this case, we don't have to worry too much about it. Now we get to play Padim. Give our artifacts hexproof. Pretty good. Still get to poke Liliana for 1. We get to draw 2 cards every turn now. Drawn out game, but definitely our deck doing its thing here. And this is what I love about this is it isn't even like our opponent did nothing and our deck got to go off. And oh, that's really cool. It's fun. It was actually a really good game. Our opponent's hand was great. We got triple Inquisition to this game. They have Tezzeret. This is their sweet Cyborg tech. They had a Liliana. I mean, this is all very, very strong, and we were just able to, you know, to get there, I think. So Padim gives all of our artifacts hexproof at the beginning of our upkeep. If we control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied for the highest converted mana cost, we draw a card. Now, our opponent could draw something like, why? Oh, they're going to Lightning Bolt us. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, it's hexproof, though. I was going to say they could Lightning Bolt our Thopter and then make a sacrifice Padim, but... Yeah, Lightning Bolting us, not so good. Yeah, our opponent, no need to pay the life to this. They get rid of it for us. All right, here we go. Let's draw some extra cards with Padim. The Console of Innovation himself. All right, so this just got very easy. In fact, this will, if I had to guess, probably solicit the scoop from our opponent. We had a Liliana, we had a Abrupt Decay the Liliana down. We had to attack for 1 with our Flying Hexproof. We get to play the Pentad Prism, which will be fodder for the Thopter Foundry, which gives us more ability. We can actually hit our opponent for 2 at a time, which is good. 1, because it erases the damage from the Tezzeret, and 2, because it means we gain life equal to the damage from the Tezzeret. Well, you know, that Grafdigger's Cage. Pithy Needle obviously would have been good, but Grafdigger's Cage was just certainly better. A Pithy Needle is good against one permanent, but we have other ways to deal with one permanent, as you can see. Meanwhile, Gravedigger's Cage is just good against an entire swath of their deck, from Lingering Souls to Faithless Lootings, and so on. So, all right. I think I forgot to use Karn last turn. Could be wrong, but I think I forgot. Let's go ahead and Karn it up here. Karnage for a reason. Oh, look. What do you say? All right, there's a Mox Opal to discard. And the next turn we can minus Karn to get back the Sword of the Meek and have the combo assembled. And basically win the next turn after that. What a game, though. What a match this was. This was pretty good from start to finish, to be honest. Also, this was the, man, the new rule about this only being able to... It didn't impact this, right? But the rules about how damaging planeswalkers work. The whole Lightning Bolt now says any target again. It means this is a target. We are not a target that can be redirected to Karn. You have to target Karn. And this deals damage to each opponent, so it didn't even receive a rata to say any target. Based on, you know, how they determined that things should go, right? So Tezzeret can literally only do damage to opponents now. And they're going to Thoughtseize our Darkslick Shores that they know about. So that just kills them faster. They knew we had that. They gave it to us, as a matter of fact. And there we go. That took care of it. What a match that was. Oh, I loved that. Yeah. This deck's a lot of fun after that. And that's taking down a Tier 1 Mardu Pyromancer deck that had triple discard plus Liliana. So, man, that was quite a game. Great match. Thank you for watching, everybody. Let's play some more Tezzerator here and see what we can do. This is Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler. If you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe to TCGplayer. And let's play some more. This was a lot of fun. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler, and this is Tezzerator Karnage. This deck is going to be sweet. It is a Tezzerator deck. It has Whir of Invention. It has Karn, Scion of Urza in here. It's got a lot going for it. Now, of course, this hand is maybe a little questionable because our opponent's on Storm here. Now, the beauty of this is that this Whir of Invention can go get Damping Sphere in our main deck, which is just incredible. All of that said, we have a couple redraws here also with the baubles to try to find land, so that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and start by Thoughtseizing our opponent here. But we should be fine, right? In theory, if we can... a couple Romance and Electromancer. All right, we'll take the Electromancer out of here. And look at the top card of, I guess, my deck to know if I need to pop this second one. It was a Pentad Prism, so yeah, it turns out I do. What do you say? Let's look at the top card of their deck as well. A Grape Shot. Okay. All right, well, we'll pass the turn here. Hopefully we get some lands here. I mean, there's no way you can mulligan the... It's a one-land hand, but it's a one-land hand with a double redraw, and we were on the draw. Wow, we're just going to draw Damping Sphere. Now we're talking. We have Thoughtseize to hopefully clear the way. So all we have to do is hit a land here. You know, Damping Sphere doesn't automatically win against Storm or anything, but it is pretty good. And look at that, we did it. And our opponent, we know they have Remand up, but they actually didn't even choose to cast it here. So I'm actually just going to go for it and slam Damping Sphere, I think. Our life total, it probably doesn't matter too much. We also even have the Ensnaring Bridges here. All right, if we had blown out by Spell Pierce or something weird, we did not. Look at that, we did it! We have resolved Damping Sphere. Love this card from Dominaria. Really love playing it in the main deck. Really enjoy drawing it, as a matter of fact, as well. So each spell a player casts costs one more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. Really good against Storm. It's, you know, it affects us. We did it! Oh, that's so good! I was going to say, it affects us to an extent, right? I mean, you know, your Mox Opals of the world get a lot worse with this out, but you know what? You just win the game against Storm. Main deck, Damping Sphere, doing work right there, Tezzerated Karnage. Okay. That said, let's move on to game 2. I imagine our opponent will be boarding out most of their... I mean, they don't really have much removal anyways. I kind of just want to beat them down with Ensoul Artifact here. We have quite a bit for this matchup, to be honest. I don't think Jace is great. Bridges don't matter. We have plenty to board out. That's the thing here. Cage does matter. Pithy Needle does not. Let's see here. Welding Jar, they probably have some amount of... We can get rid of a Thopter Foundry, I think. I'm not sure exactly what all we're supposed to shave here. I mean, as much as I love Karn, it's probably not that great in this matchup. So, all right, this gets us down to 61. Basically, we just want to destroy our opponent's hand with discard here. And then, you know, that clears the way to Whir for the Damping Sphere, or even for the Grafdigger's Cage or the Relic of Virginitas, all of which are very good against our Storm opponent here. I'll go ahead and cut a Tezzeret too, just because it's slow. We really just want to go on this Ensoul Artifact plan. Basically like Thoughtseize plus Mishra's Bauble into Ensoul Artifact, kill you in 4 turns while tearing apart your hand. As it stands, we have a hand that is questionable. It's got... I'm going to keep it because there's... With the double redraw, I think it's worth a shot. Thirst for Knowledge is very good. The Pentad Prism would be good. We have the Sword of Meek to pitch to the Thirst for Knowledge, so that's basically all the value right there. You draw 3 at instant speed and you discard 2, unless you discard an artifact card, like Sword of the Meek, which we want in our graveyard anyways. Plus we're on the draw, so you know what, that worked out last game. But I mean, you basically can't say no to the fact that we get 4 cards between the 2 baubles and being on the draw here. So 4 draw steps, or 4 cards to hit a second land, and our deck is obviously great with the second land. If one of these was a second land, we would snap keep it. So there's no way we can mulligan. Well, there's probably a way we can mulligan. It doesn't have any of our cyborg cards or anything like that, but I'm definitely not going to mulligan. And you know what? I'm going to get there anyways. Sort of. Anyways, this is not a... Alright, so I guess if there's an Ensoul Artifact on top of our deck, we want to know that. So let's check that out first. It was an Inventor's Fair. Oh gosh, there's another colorless source, okay. Alright, we may end up having to burn. I guess we're just going to have to go turn to Pentad Prism. Oh no, our Pentad Prism can only make 1 color of mana. Oh no, because of the Sunburst. Oh, I didn't think about that. We'll see what we draw here. Maybe I should have run out the second bauble, but if I draw Ensoul Artifact, I want to have it. There's a Baral, huh? Okay. Let's see if we get a colored source here. Gonna regret it if we don't. Our opponent did mulligan. We did hit the Ensoul Artifact, so that plan did work. Oh, we had the Darksteel Citadel, though. Well, this is a really weird line. I should have played out the bauble no matter what I did. I actually just played really badly there. I'm sorry. This is a weird line, but I think I'm actually going to Pentad Prism and Thoughtseize just because basically all we want is to just not die here. And because I messed up a couple different ways last turn, I think this is just... We're in a bad situation here, but I think this is the best we can do. Woo! Shattering Spree, huh? Repeal Manamorphose. Well... You know what? All of those are good against our Ensoul Artifact plan, so it's good that we know about that. Go ahead and crack my bauble here. We have this or this to use. There's no difference between them now. Alright, we do know that our opponent's hand is not exactly great. They're drawing a... Ooh, they're drawing an Electromancer. Okay. Well, they're going to have some very inexpensive spells, that's for sure. We have Thirst for Knowledge also, though, to dig out of this. Alright, so they're going to run out the Electromancer here. They might just be on the beatdown plan. Yeah, Storm Beatdown coming in here with Brawl. I'll take it. I think... On a different note, I'm very glad that this card got banned in Brawl. I've been making Brawl videos for TCGplayer and been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. Check out the ones I did last weekend with Tezzeret the Schemer. They were definitely a lot of fun. But this card was just so bad for that format, so I'm really glad it's gone. Alright, let's draw here. What do we hit? Ooh, Darkslick Shores, okay. Not the worst. We have all the mana we need now. Alright, so I would say the biggest problem for us here is that our opponent... I mean, the beatdown's a thing. We'll have to deal with that eventually, but they have really cheap repeal, so I don't think I can just go in on the Ensoul Artifact. I actually think I'm best off to just main phase Search for Knowledge here. This way if we hit 0 drops, we can play them. I like Welding Jar, for instance. Okay, so let's go ahead and discard the Sword of the Meek here. And we did hit the Mox Opal. And we did hit the Welding Jar. Might as well get him out now in case we draw Damping Sphere. Alright, so what this means is next turn we can Ensoul Artifact our Pentad Prism, and we have the Welding Jar to regenerate it. Well, I guess they have Repeal, not Shattering Spree. So we can't get through Repeal, unfortunately. I suppose we'll also have Inventor's Fair gaining us life, searching us up a card. In the meantime, though, we are going to get beat down. Our opponent's hand is nowhere... I say it's nowhere near winning. It might not be that far from winning. They drew a land here. I mean, with 2 of these out, it doesn't take too much to get you there. Yeah, let's see what we can hit. Collective Brutality is a pretty good one here. It's great, as a matter of fact. Alright, so I think I would like to escalate this thing. Because I want to take an instant or sorcery from their hand, and I want to kill the Electromancer. So choose our opponent, choose a creature. Now what we discard here is more interesting, but I think it actually might... I think it's probably just the Darkslick Shores here. Alright, this is really good. We'll get rid of this. We'll see how our opponent responds. To be honest, they might repeal their own Electromancer. That wouldn't be a terrible play on their part, but it would mean that I can then just play Ensoul Artifact and get on in there. Which is great, because that really puts the pressure on our opponent. They're dead in 3 turns after that. So this is... I'm interested to see what they choose to do here. Now, all that said, our hand is not exactly great after this. They're just going to let us, huh? Well, that's probably even worse. Could have at least cycled the Repeal and saved your Electromancer. Okay, well... yeah, take the Repeal here. And go to town, I guess. Yeah, may as well do it on the Indestructible one. Why not, right? You know, I guess it's actually... I didn't actually maybe fully think this through, because certainly not used to playing against these cards, or with these cards. Can't say I've ever cast Ensoul Artifact, but given that this is Indestructible, maybe I could have just gone on for this right away, because they couldn't have Shattering Spreed it, and they couldn't have repealed it because it's a land. It doesn't say, you know, a creature. It says a non-land permanent, so... yeah, fair enough. I guess maybe I actually overthought my own lines a couple different ways in this game, but looks like it might work out, because as it stands, our opponent has a Baral and a Manamorphose, and we have a 5/5. Plus, we have this Inventor's Fair, which we can't sacrifice now, but we're not too far away from it. Slide a hand for our opponent. They could easily put something together here, though. I mean, they still have a creature to reduce costs. They can... you know, fire, basically when they hit something like a Pass in Flames, it could get pretty ugly pretty quickly for us here if they go Ritual Pass in Flames with this Manamorphose as well. So, we probably will need to find another piece of gas, but I can just Inventor's Fair for Damping Sphere, which doesn't... Piece of the Puzzle is very, very good for our opponent. It's like they're going to... Yeah, they get the Ritual... Gosh, empty the Warrens, huh? Yeah, they're just going to go for it now. It's actually a pretty good play. Inventor's Sphere is not going to beat it. And we took out the bridges. Maybe I shouldn't have taken out the... Maybe I should have left a bridge in. Let's see how many it is here. It's going to be a lot, that's for sure. 8, 10 of them? Yeah, that's good enough. Well, interesting. Okay. I guess I should have boarded against that plan. That was a really good piece of the puzzle for our opponent. Just started talking about how they weren't... They were probably out of it, but maybe not quite. And then, boom, they're just not out of it at all. Alright, so... Let's see what I can Inventor's Fair for here. Because I do have the 4 mana to sacrifice it. Let's see if we actually have any outs, though. I'm not convinced that we do necessarily. So we took out the bridges. Needle Cage. None of that works. I think we're actually just going to die to this. Oh, well. Lesson learned for game 3, I suppose. I don't think we have any way to win. Alrighty. That's kind of unfortunate to lose that one that way, but there were some lessons learned, I suppose. We want to keep a bridge in, I think. I guess a Damnation? We want to cut... Maybe we cut the Ensoul Artifacts. The problem is with Shattering Spree in our opponent's deck, it's just very scary. Let's just kind of trim at the edges here a little bit and see if this is reasonable. I'll give this one a shot. This is way we at least have access to a bridge to beat the Empty the Warrens. And we have the Damnation. You know, maybe with the Damnation in the deck, we just don't even want the Empty the Warrens. Or with the bridge, we don't care about the Damnation. I don't know. Damnation can also clean up the board our opponent had last time with 2 mana dorks, essentially, or whatever you want to call them out of their deck. Mana reduction creatures. Well, I think we wouldn't, even if I'd played better at the beginning there, we wouldn't have won that game. Our opponent, we might have had him down to 5 even, but they would have had all that. Alright, well, I don't think I can mulligan this. Certainly not great, but it's got combo in hand, so that's pretty good. And even has some amount of protection. Once we have an artifact anyways. This hand has some stuff going for it. And the problem with our decks, we don't necessarily make a ton of mana, so this is a very slow win condition. That said, we can use it, if we make enough things, we can just use it to whir for a Damping Sphere. Ooh, that's a pretty good draw, actually. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to just play the Sword of the Meek here. And then next turn, I'm probably going to Thoughtseize and Ensoul Artifact on the Sword of the Meek. Depending on what we see with the Thoughtseize, obviously. It's possible it's better to just start making creatures so that we can then try to whir. Although we need 3 blue mana to do that, and we're not exactly near doing that either, so... Alright, let's see. Hopefully this is not a Goblin Electromancer. Okay, fair enough. Alright, so we've got lands, which is good. We are going to need them throughout the game here. Particularly blue ones, obviously. But let's go ahead and start things off with the Thoughtseize and hope it's not too terrifying. Always with the Shattering Sprees, huh? Oh, wow, their hand's unbeatable. I think I have to take Empty the Warrens. Then our opponent has to find card draw. I can't swipe the Rituals. If I go for the Ensoul Artifact on the Sword of the Meek, it at least just forces them to burn the Shattering Spree. I think that's our best shot for winning here. Yeah, this puts pressure on our opponent. They're going to have to Shattering Spree it, I think. I mean, they might just draw something to kill us, but... if not, then we can play Thopter Foundry, and then we just need one other artifact to sacrifice to start the loop with Sword of the Meek, and we'll have Whir of Invention after that, once we have tokens to tap for it, because we have access to 3 blue mana now, so we can get Damping Sphere. So, I would say we have a line to winning here. As a matter of fact, we might just have it if they don't kill this. We have to get the Shattering Spree out of their hand, though. The only way to do that is to play the Ensoul Artifact. Or to take it, but if we had taken it with our Thoughtseize, they would have just popped off with Empty the Warrens and essentially killed us this turn anyways. Because I don't even think we could get down low enough for bridge at that point in time. And so they play the Shivan Reef here. You know, it also makes sense for them to hold the Shattering Spree, I suppose, till the last possible moment to mess up all of our plans. That's certainly a thing they could do. Could whir for 0 at that point, though, if that was actually the line to regenerate. Our opponent's thinking about it, about how they want to handle this 5/5. Honestly, this 5/5 doesn't threaten them for several more turns. No reason to blow the Shattering Spree on it yet, which actually kind of makes us under the gun here. Yeah, just going to play the Electromancer. That line makes more sense. Relic is a good draw, though. This prevents some amount of shenanigans. Alright, so we can currently Whir for 0 if we want. We can Whir for 1. Well, not if we can Whir for 0 for the jar. Whirring for 1 doesn't do anything. But we can Whir for 0 for jar if that's what we choose to do. Probably won't be, but they drew land too. That's probably good for us. And our opponent can even chump block our Sword of the Meek here to buy time on the Shattering Spree. So they have options for sure, but they're not. They're going to go aggro with it. Okay. And with all these cost reduction creatures, they might actually just be able to get through our Damping Sphere. Maybe, maybe not. Damping Sphere is pretty hard to beat once it gets going. And let's see what they choose to do in their second main phase. This is a big decision point for them. For what it's worth, I actually don't want to take a bunch of damage here because it makes the Grape Shot very easy to kill us. So I don't want to have to shock this. Yeah, I mean, we're going to fetch, but I guess I don't want to have to make blue mana with the Spire of Industry. Yeah, big decision point for our opponent here. I mean, our plan's fairly straightforward. You know, we could play Thopter Foundry, which is... It's not bad right now. I could Whir for 0. Well, the problem is with the way this works is it replicates. It copies the spell. Oh, they're just going to go for it. Wow, and they're just going to go for the 1 on the Sword of the Meek, huh? Well, here is the decision point then. Do I want to hold up Whirring for... I can Whir for 0 to protect it, which is honestly pretty good. Our opponent has 1 unknown, I believe, in hand after that. Or I can untap and Whir for... I can untap, Whir for Damping Sphere, and have Thopter Foundry up. Or Whir for Damping Sphere at instant speed if we need to. Yeah, I think that's better, because our opponent can just get so many turns out of this. They go to 5 next turn, then they chump block for a turn, and that's just multiple turns for them to draw 1 or 2 cards to kill us. So I think I'm going to let this happen. I think I'm really going to value the Damping Sphere in this game. Especially given that we have... This is actually fine in our graveyard, given that we have the Thopter Foundry in hand here. Let's see what we hit. Now, Mox Opal's not bad. Not the worst, but not bad. Go ahead and play it. Alright, let's run out the Thopter Foundry and see what happens here. This is big. If our opponent's last card is Remand, that's pretty bad for us. I mean, I guess we could Ooh, it worked. Okay, we're good. We are good. Crisis averted here. Alright, now we can just go ahead and pass the turn. We have 3 blue mana. I could get Damping Sphere immediately. I'm not going to do that, because if my opponent were to just try to pass the turn to me, then I would just sacrifice the Relic Progenitus to Thopter Foundry and just start making one, start going off that way. But if our opponent acts like they're going to storm off, then we can Whir of Invention at instant speed for Damping Sphere. So I would say things are pretty close right now. I think this game could still go either way. A lot riding on what our opponent's other 2 cards are. Ooh, okay. Alright, so that's probably pretty good for us. Let's exile a card from here. I think I actually want to sacrifice the Mox Opal so that we at least still have Graveyard Hate up. It's maybe a little counterintuitive to second mana here, but I think this matters more. Alright, yes please. Alright, so everybody, the way this works is now we just get to use all this mana We get to sacrifice the Sword of the Meek every time. We get to gain a life, return Sword of the Meek as much as we have mana to do. So this protects against us dying to the Electromancer beatdown. Realistically, at this point, it protects against the Empty the Warrens as well. So, and now we have Whir of Invention to go get Damping Sphere if they look like they're going to do anything scary. And you know what? We even have a clock. So, let's go ahead and attack for 4. And we can still use our Sword of the Meek to Whir here. Although, this is actually perfect because we can tap the Thopter Foundry and the Sword of Meek to Whir at instant speed for Damping Sphere. And then we would have mana to pop the Relic Bridge into this. So, our opponent needs multiple things here to get out of this. And I'm definitely, if they just show, there you go. I was like, if they show even a hint of going for a combo, right? The first ritual that gets played, I instantly cast Whir of Invention, which actually might even be wrong. Maybe. It's hard to say, to be honest, because the thing is they could then respond by making a bunch of mana with the other rituals. But I suppose it doesn't matter because they wouldn't be able to cast their payoff, which would be sorcery speed regardless. So there you go. That was a really good game, actually. It shows the power of the deck. I think I misplayed a little in game 2. I don't know if it mattered. I think I could have got in for 5, maybe even 10 more damage, but we would have still died to the Empty the Warrens there. But I think we played this game reasonably well, and this game was not straightforward. We had combo in hand, and it's pretty easy to just say, I've got the combo. This is a good combo. This was banned in Modern at one point. Got to go for it. But I think it was actually just wrong in that case. And, as exciting and or cool as it would have been to win by killing him with the Hidden and Soul artifact, Sword of the Meek, I also think it was correct to hold Whir of Invention in that point. So there you go. Obviously I could be wrong, but I think I actually feel okay with how we played that game. So either way, that was a fun one, everyone. Tezzerator Karnage didn't get to cast any Karns this time around, unfortunately, but it was a pretty sweet match nonetheless. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm Corbin Hostler. Let's try again. Hello, everybody. Here we go with some more Tezzerator Karnage. And this hand's pretty interesting, to be honest. We're on the play here. On the one hand, this is basically already a mulligan to 6 because of the Mox Opal. On the other hand, we get a redraw here. We can go turn 2 Pentad Prism, and turn 3 Tezzeret. Tezzeret, turn Mox Opal into a 5/5, which makes the second copy live. We have to hit a land in 2 draw steps to do that. Or another cheap artifact. This may be risky. Mulligan with this deck is, when you have redraws included with Mishra's Bauble and so on, it's actually very difficult to make some decisions here. But I think the upside of this hand is good, right? The upside of this hand is a turn 3 Tezzeret, making a 5/5. Following that up by turning Pentad Prism to a 5/5, etc., and then still having a Mox Opal be relevant. The downside, of course, is that we do nothing. But so the first decision we have to make is whether we bobble immediately to increase the odds of hitting our second land, or whether we do not do that because we want to save it to try to turn on Mox Opal next turn. Now, there is a correct answer here. And what that is we're going to use the bobble to look at the top of our own library. That essentially gives us, a second shot at it. But it does more than that, because if it's not a land, we fetch, and it gives us a third shot at that. So I think this is definitely the line we want to take here. And it is a Dark Slick Short, so there you go. Now we know not to crack our Flooded Strand. And we get to draw Dark Slick Shores, play Pentad Prism, and just be ready to go. Well, I guess we get to crack it anyways, huh? Ooh, our opponent went right through their turn over there, huh? Okay. Not sure what's up with that. I like this Karn, though. I like where things are going. I don't know if they misclicked through or what. I guess in that case, I'm just going to play it safe and get this basic island. Alright, let's go ahead and Pentad Prism here. Alright, and then we just pass. And the next turn, we get to play a turn 3 Karn or turn 3 Tezzeret. I assume turn 3 Tezzeret is better. And our opponent does have land. I'm really not sure what happened there. If they kept a one-lander and they're on Zoo, and maybe that's a reasonable thing, or not. As it stands, though, we're just able to do whatever we want over here. Yeah, if this is what they're going to do, I definitely just like turning this into a 5/5. Yeah, turns out Tezzeret, pretty good card. Alright, add some black mana here. Play out our Tezzeret. Make the Mox Opal 5/5. And, you know, as you do in Modern, attack with Mox Opal on turn 3, right? They do say that Mox Opal is one of the most busted cards in the format, and now I guess you're seeing why. So, alright, so our opponent is at 13. That's pretty good. So they can kill our Tezzeret with the Kurdabe if they want. And that means, though, that they have to have an answer to this Mox Opal. You know, the 5/5 Mox Opal. And we're gonna play Karn after this and just make a construct. Yeah, looks like they're gonna stay aggressive here. Take out Tezzeret, deal 2 to us. Oh my gosh, okay. This one's worse because we actually don't have. Oh, we do. We can use the Pentad Prism mana. Yeah, I'm in. If some was good, more is better, right? It would have been fun to play Karn there, but you know what? This is pretty fun too. This is not tip. This isn't. I just want to point out we're playing Ensnaring Bridge in our deck, right? Our plan is to actually lock our opponents out of attacking with creatures, not to attack with our own creatures. But that's the beauty of Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas. Plus, this deck in general can just turn a corner and go aggro when you need to, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. Now, our opponent actually has an aggressive as heck hand over there. And these are pretty good on defense for what it's worth. This Kurdabe Tezzeret, these get to undie and come back. So, you know, that's pretty good for our opponent. Less good for our opponent is that we're at 16 and they're at 3 and they're playing Kurdabes. So, you know. Given that, I actually think I'm just going to play Karn this turn. Although we could slow it down a little bit, right? We could just, we could attack. I mean, that makes these things undie. And then we could go Pentad Prism plus Thoughtseize. It's probably reasonable. That means we actually take a lot on the crackback, though. Kind of like playing defensively with our 5/5s, because our opponent's playing red-green aggro, right? They're not going to have good answers to 5/5s. Oh, we don't have... Oh, no, we don't have Metalcraft. Whoops, just kidding. I guess that changes things. All right, now we have to Pentad Prism. So now we can't play Karn, but now we can play Thoughtseize. So, all right, I guess this is the line we're going to take. We'll use this to figure out whether or not we want to attack. Wow, Boggart Ram game? What year is it? This card's sweet. Haste and Wither. Wither is a very underrated ability in Modern. The problem is Scavenging is also pretty good. Our opponent's hand here is solid, to be honest. I think that I just have to take the Scavenging Ooze. It would get larger than things we can deal with, whereas we can deal with both these cards. Now, if we attack, we're actually just... See, that's what's crazy. If we attack, we actually would just be dead, right? Yeah, we would take... Well, if they drew land, which they have, yeah. That's what's nuts about. That's why I didn't want to just attack blindly. If we attack, they block both. They crack back for 6, 8, plus this thing has haste. 11, Bolt is 14. So, yeah, I think we'll be playing defense here. Fortunately, we play defense pretty well. If our opponent wants to play the Boggart Ram game and attack, we throw a Mox Opal in front of it. We throw a Pentad Prism in front of the Kurdabe. And this is cool because then our Mox Opal gets to trade again next turn, and we get to play the one out of our hand to get some value. They just want to come in with that. Yeah, that's fine. Our opponent wants to wither this down and then lightning bolt it to death, and that's totally okay with me because it turns on the other Mox Opal in our hand. Oh, they don't even want to do that. That's fine, too. Okay, well, we can play Karn. Make it 2/2. We could also Thoughtseize the lightning bolt out of their hand, but that, of course, just means they bolt. That's not... I mean, forcing them to lightning bolt is kind of not the worst, right? If we force them to lightning bolt down our Mox Opal, and then we play our other Mox Opal... I'm going to give it a shot. I think that there's value into doing this. It's a bit risky. You can also make the argument... Yeah, they do this anyways. Maybe I should have used the Darkslick Shores. All right, yep. So that's fine. We paid 2 life to get the lightning bolt out of their hand, and I think that that's totally reasonable because now we get to play this lightning bolt. I'm sorry, this Mox Opal. We get to play Karn, and that's very good. We have a 5/5 on defense here. We get to save our mana from this Pentad Prism. I guess I just make a construct. Alternatively, I could plus Karn, go up to 6, have a block. Karn would go down to 2. I think making a construct's better. This Karn still survives this way. Yeah, these constructs are going to be very, very good also. Sugar Geist is just such a great card. It's cool our opponent has full art ones. Because they're very aggressive, clearly. It's meant to be an aggressive creature. But also in this game, they played really good defense. Our opponent did a lot of work. And if it wasn't specifically for this card, we would have just run away with this game already. But our opponent doesn't want to suicide him. Now we get to do whatever we want here. Do I actually think we're going to... I don't even know what to get with this. Don't know. I'm going to plus Karn, though. And, yeah, plusing Karn puts it at a lightning bolt range. On the other hand, yeah, I do want cards, because we can play basically whatever we want. But you know what? If our opponent had a removal spell for it, they would have already done it. Let's go ahead and get the creatures out so we don't die to any shenanigans. And now we have Whir of Invention for whatever we want. That said, I don't know what we want, because you typically Whir for either a combo piece or for Ensnaring Bridge, and we don't have either combo piece so far, and we don't have... I mean, I don't know that we want to Ensnaring Bridge. Our opponent's at 2 life. And we have, 3 5/5s. So I'm fine. I might just end up doing nothing with this Whir of Invention. We'll see what our opponent does. And play another Karnage. And now we're going to get a lot. This is fine. We get more information here. We get to draw Jace the Mind Sculptor. I'd say that's pretty good. I guess we may as well. This is clearly what we're doing here. So we'll go ahead and start by plussing our Karn here. 2 cards enter the revealed zone, huh? So I'm not sure. I guess one of them was Dark Side. It's Tezzeret and Ensnaring Bridge here. Wow, that's not a very good option. Not a very good option for our opponent. In fact, it might just be scoop time. You give us Bridge, your deck can't win anymore. In theory, right? And they don't actually know we can't empty our hand, but yeah, that's what they did. It means we can get a... But I'm just going to play Jace. We have all of the value here. I'm going to play Jace, and I'm just going to bounce the Curd Ape. Very powerful plays here, 4 mana unsummons, right? This is sort of the classic Jace line. And it doesn't change too much, because if our opponent draws a haste creature, then they would have taken out our Planeswalkers either way. But by bouncing it here, it means we then get to untap and get another round of activations out of these cards with access to all of our mana. And now just playing Bridge looks really good. Especially with that draw. I could Karn the Tezzeret back to my hand. I think we'll be doing that eventually, for what it's worth. Alright, let's go ahead and plus Karn here. Damping Sphere. Alright. I think I'm just kind of playing this value game, this Planeswalker value game right now. And I think that that's a reasonable thing to do. Alright, go ahead and play the Damping Sphere out. Well, let's see what we want to do with Jace. I could play Damping Sphere and Ensnaring Bridge and only have 1 card in hand. Yeah, that's got to be what we do. And Fate Seal my opponent. I'd like to keep that on top. All right, we should have this one locked up here. It was harder than I expected, though, after how aggressive crazy good our opening hand was. I still don't know if our opponent kept a 1 land or just have 6 through their turn or what, but that is part of Magic. This, however, should be enough for the scoop. Oh, the Damping Sphere! Damping Sphere is a symmetrical effect. We do have the mana to pay for it. Alright, there we go. Can't attack. Pass the turn. So yeah, our opponent, they don't have anything here, and now we, I mean, this one's pretty much locked up. We're just going to get there with the, you know, the blue-black Super Friends deck that also attacked for a bunch. Alright, so let's go ahead and Fate Seal our opponent. I think I would have liked to have drawn a land there, but whew, I would like to put that Bloodbraid on the bottom. Yes, it wouldn't be able to attack, but I don't want them to have... Alright, so we could play Karn here. I guess I'm just back to making guys. I mean, we're obviously on the Ensnaring Bridge plan at this point, so... I mean, we have 4. Our opponent, they don't even have good attacks. At the beginning of their combat, I'm just going to Whir for something. I don't know what. See what they show me here. I think Jace Ultimate's probably going to be our path to victory here. All right, Experiment 1, not something I care about. My opponent actually thinks I get to attack here. It's very cute. Well, let's just Whir for however much this is and see what happens. 5, huh? That'll get anything out of our deck. Enemies, none of our opponent's creatures can attack. Cage and Needle don't seem like they do much. I guess it's Thopter Foundry. Gives us something to do with our mana. Alright, go ahead and Thoughtseize my opponent. Sure. Not too worried about my life total at this point. Go ahead and Fate Seal them. Domri, huh? Does that actually matter? No. Sure doesn't. Your creature have to be able to attack for that to do anything. I guess I could get stuff in their hand, but for the most part, it just doesn't do anything. I don't want them to... I guess I don't want them to draw Burn. They can have Domri, whatever. We're going to have our combo. I could go for some of this stuff. I actually think I'm just going to do nothing with Karn. Because I have everything I need to win this game already. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to Whir for Sword of the Meek, obviously, and we'll have assembled the combo and the game ends, right? So that's essentially, you know, Domri, in theory, could be good over the course of this game, but it's going to not matter. I mean, also, we could Whir for Pithy Needle if we really wanted, etc., but I'm just going to Whir for the Sword of the Meek, and that will be a full unlock in place. Whether we went with Jace or Thopter Foundry is irrelevant at that point. Played my stuff out in the wrong order earlier, though. I'm 1 mana short of killing our opponent this turn. It was a Scavenging Ooze. They did it. This is a weird game. Fun one, though. I like this deck a lot. It's like Lantern Control, and I admit I do like playing Lantern Control. But it's slightly different, right? You're more proactive. You actually have a game plan here with the Thopter Foundries. And any deck with Whir of Invention is just sweet. You get to play so many silver bullets like this in your deck. And that's essentially, you know, Lantern Control is all in on playing bridges and getting a bridge in play and sitting behind it and eventually winning the game because of it. But this is just sort of this value Tezzerator deck that also gets to play Karn to great effect. It really got a lot going for it. Our opponent can't attack with anything, so yeah, we'll just move to your end step. Alright, go ahead and improvise out this Sword of the Meek, and that should be enough for our opponent to scoop. I don't know what sideboard looks like for us. I would assume that this is the kind of matchup that's bad for us, to be honest. Turns out your opponent missing their first turn either through a misclick or a or keeping a one-lander. Pretty good strategy for winning. Alright, play the Darksteel Citadel. Go ahead and plus Karn here. Because now we can actually do something with whatever card we draw. Spire of Industry. Sure, we have one in hand. Jace my opponent. I'm impressed they haven't scooped yet. Yeah, you can have that. We can't attack, so we'll just pass the turn here. But obviously, we have Thopter Foundry combo now. We get to make a bunch of flyers at the end of the turn, and the game's over. So we don't want Damping Spheres in the matchup. Or do we? It's pretty good against Bloodbraid Elf. I might keep it. You get some amount of sort of freebies, right, when you're playing Whir of Invention in your deck. Silver bullet cards actually do matter. So I thought I chose to let them have that. Oh, see. So they drew, they drew the Boggart Ram game, and then off of Domri, they drew the Bloodbraid Elf. Which, unfortunately for them, is not going to be enough to matter. I don't know what they're hoping to Domri into, or to Bloodbraid into here. Spin the wheel, but unless it either does 10 damage, Hidetsu's second right, I guess that would do it. That would get us. It's some obscure card from Kamigawa block that says, if your opponent has exactly 10 life, deal 10 damage. Alright. We will have to click through this thing a bunch. Just pretty annoying, but our opponent can gain life off of this thing, so we'll have to do it. Always eat. Oh, they can eat it. Duh. Okay. That's fine. Because I can just sacrifice meaningless artifacts to this. Like all of these creatures that can't attack. So our opponent can only gain... I mean, we have no creatures in our deck, and they have 1. So they can only go to 4 life here, so they're just dead. I admire them not scooping, but what they're doing is irrelevant. And we'll go one more just because we can. I think this takes care of it. Alright, we will attack for 5 flying, and that should be good enough. What an odd game. Kind of shows the power of our deck, though. Right, this is a game we almost won on turn 4 from just attacking with 5/5s. I guess turn 5. But it's also... We also ended up in an Ensnaring Bridge lock, right? That's pretty sweet. Alright, we have done it. On to game 2 here. What do we want? I want the Damnations for sure. Want the bridges. I don't want the cage. The Thoughtseizes are actually probably not great. They're not the worst, but this is definitely a hide behind bridge type matchup. I think I want Padim. We don't want all these 4-drops, right? We clearly need fewer 4-drops in our deck right now. And I'm just going to cut. I think we need Jace because it's an actual win condition. I think Karn's less important. Alright, and I want these Abrupt Decays clearly. Alright, so this puts us at 60. I don't think we want Thoughtseizes. We have to cut some of the 4s. We're just trying to play the control game, get underneath bridge here. And we already have a lot of 4-drops. It may honestly be correct to cut more of them. But I don't know. We'll see. We could free roll a Damping Sphere right now, or we can play Collective Brutality. Damping Sphere pretty sweet against Bloodbraid Elf. Maybe on the draw I'll consider it. But we need the Brutalities. We're also going to need ways to just clear out our hand here. Which actually kind of makes me want to play a second one. And cut... I don't know what to cut. Probably a Thopter Foundry. We're not trying to turbo combo out our opponent here. They're going to have interaction for us here in game 2. What we do want to do, though, is play and protect a bridge. And that's where Padim comes in. That's where the discard comes in. That's where the life gain comes in. And the discard outlet of Brutality, the welding jars. I think this is where we want to be. And this hand is sweet. I'm in, actually, with this hand. This hand's great. We get to fetch out the Breeding Pool early. We have removal for days. We will eventually get a Whir for the other half of our combo. Oh, wow, we're just going to draw it. Even better, I suppose. Yeah, why not? Looks like, unless we draw a polluted delta, we're going to have to shock in the watery grave here. But, yeah, that is what it is. Shango Geist is very good. Pentad Prism, huh? It's a good draw in general. That said, I'm going to have to discard something. I could also just play Pentad Prism. I could fetch the island, play Pentad Prism. Next turn have a bunch of mana. This saves us life, I think. Also, if anything crazy happens, we can Abrupt Decay. I think this is okay, maybe? I don't know. What this did allow me to do is the Domri. Okay. Was a Boggart Ram game. Whew, it's pretty good for our opponent's got a real good hand going on here. I think I am going to be forced to use these Pentad Prism counters. It's fine because we need to get cards out of our hand regardless. Although in this case it basically would have been the same as discarding it to Brutality. But it gets the artifact in play for the Whir of Invention later. So there's value no matter what here. Unfortunately, we wouldn't still end up having to shock ourselves if I did this. Oh, man. If I Abrupt Decay the Dried Militant, the next turn we're taking 5, going to 8. I play my land tapped. I play the Thopter Foundry. I can't even play Thopter Foundry off this. We're going to have to... Okay. I think I take it. All this game is about is getting our hand low enough to Whir for Bridge and it be good enough to win. And now I have a lot of mana, so... Let's start with this Brutality. Giving... I guess this is the same thing. We might even be able to escalate 3 times. I could drain, kill the Militant, see if the way is clear, and then have mana up to decide after that. I think that's what I'm going to do here. Discarding this other Brutality, and I think this Abrupt Decay. This game's going to be very close, but this gets our hand down pretty low. We can Abrupt... Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, that's pretty bad for us. Oh, my gosh. We take... Oh, man, that's ugly. What this tells me is we're going to have to win with a value game because that Grudge kills our plan right now. So I think I have to take a Lightning Bolt. Yeah, this is really scary, but I think this is what I have to do. I think I have to play a value-oriented game right now to try to win the board, right? And that's why we're Abrupt Decaying the Domri. Because making them discard that and then taking 1,000,000 damage over the next 2 turns, like, we're just going to die to the Lightning Bolts whether we get Bridge down or not to mention they can still just flash it back and kill our Bridge. So, this is bad. This is not good for us, but I don't think we have a better option. And in fact, this might just kill us anyways. Because... Oh, okay. We get to play this. This will prompt the... Drawing that Whir of Invention. That second Whir of Invention was not good. Because we're going to have to go into chump block mode here. Yeah, the first Whir maybe. The second Whir is pretty bad in this scenario. That Ancient Grudge just put a big hole in our plans, but I'm just trying to survive long enough to make Damnation and out, although we don't even have mana for it right now. Here comes Ancient Grudge on our Thopter Foundry. And I only have 1 mana to sack it, so might as well sack it to itself here. It gives us a life. It allows us to it allows us to block the Strangleroot Geist, which then, you know, in theory we can build up to having a we go down to 6 and they have 1 bolt in hand, so we're not dead. Not sure what we're looking for to get out of this though. Undying is just so good. It's just so good against when you try to 1-for-1 them. This is where we'd want Damnation. Damnation would basically be our out. That's what we tried to play too. I can Whir for 1, and that's not good enough, so we are dead. That game was rough. Our opponent's hand was very, very good. I mean, they drew 3 lands and a bunch of gas. Exactly what they want. On to game 2, though. I guess maybe we want some... The problem with the discard spells, as you saw, is that Ancient Grudge is just so good against us. That's also why I don't want to go in Soul Artifact routes. Maybe I want the other Thopter Foundry back in here, now that we're on the... I think I have to... You know, making 5/5s is not a terrible plan here. I'm going to cut Jace. Our opponent has infinite haste creatures, so the plan of Jace bounce and then survived on top of Jace is pretty unlikely. All right, here we go. I can get behind this hand. It needs, you know, it's got some work to do, but this Damnation, for instance, is more or less uncastable right now, but hopefully we'll get there. We go get our Watery Grave, and then we can play turn 2 Thopter Foundry and make our opponent at least respect it. Curd Ape is the least scary of their turn 1 start, so that's also a thing. The problem here is I want to get the Breeding Pool, but I basically have to get the Watery Grave so we can cast spells. It's a pretty bad draw. This hand is enormously dependent on drawing either another mana source or a cheap artifact to turn on Mox Opal. So, most of our cards do that, but okay, well, Thopter Foundry down. Pentad Prism I will accept here. That's actually a pretty reasonable card. Now, our opponent had an Abrade. Gosh, Abrade's pretty good against us, too. This is a Boggart Ram game. Oh my gosh, another Abrade? Well, in that case, I guess I'm using this to destroy their Curd Ape. Well, we're at least not taking infinite damage this game, but we have to draw lands or we are dead. And they have another one. Oh, they have a Relic. Okay, that's... This is sort of this is the sort of game we can win. Thank gosh, alright. I'm going to play the Mox in case we need a Whir for 1 here. I don't know what I'd be worrying for, but that was a big draw for us. It means that Damnation is... We're 1 mana away from Damnation being live, but Abrupt Decay is live, and we can actually play Whir of Invention. Even if we don't know what we're worrying for yet. Oh man, our opponent's hand is so good here. I cannot Whir for Damping Sphere to blow out this Bloodbraid Elf, though. Oh my gosh. How punished is that? I guess I Whir for Grafdigger's Cage so our opponent can't cast the Ancient Grudge out of their graveyard. That was insane. And I'm going to have to shock myself here too. Oh my gosh, that was so good. I could also Whir for... Yeah, this is really bad for us. I could Whir to save it, but that seems bad. I think I got to Whir for the Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, Cage is probably not in our deck, is it? That's fine. I don't think Cage is on our deck. And we're going to find out what we can get. Well, either we're going to have a Mox Opal for our next turn. We have Needle. Yeah, okay. We don't have Cage anymore. Well, I can Welding Jar to save it. Doesn't really do that much for our mana, to be honest. I think Pithy Needle on Relics is what we're going to have to do. I could get Darksteel Citadel and have a 4th land, which then allows us to play any Planeswalker we draw, and we still can't cast Damnation off of that. That might be better. I don't, because I think basically hitting Planeswalkers is how we're going to win the game. Our opponent's hand has been so good, though. And we can't even Abrupt Decay this, which is annoying. And we can Abrupt Decay the Relic if that's what it comes to. And there's our land. Well, that's Damnation mana. So, you know what? Okay. There were worse draws. We want our opponent to just empty their hand now. If their hand is a bunch of creatures and we Damnation the board away and land a Planeswalker, that's our path to victory. Yep, and I think that means I have to take this hit. I could Abrupt Decay this, but we're going to have to cast Animation anyways because of the Blood Braid. So if we die to a couple Lightning Bolts, we die to a couple Lightning Bolts. Alright, well, we've cleared the board. Our opponent has 2 cards in hand, plus 3 if they crack the Relic. It does not look very good for us, that's for sure. But playing Thopter Foundry next turn, if we don't die, and that's a big if, Thopter Foundry sacrificing itself and Darksteel Forge, or Darksteel Citadel, rather, gaining 2 life, making 2 1/1s is actually not the worst. Especially when backed up by this Abrupt Decay, which I was saving in case that's the other consideration. And it looks like they missed there, yeah. The other consideration for taking the damage from the what do you say, words are hard, the Bargurt Ram game, was that if our opponent drew this, we have to answer it. So we can Abrupt Decay this thing down. Yeah, this is honestly maybe okay here. We have Thopter Foundry with 2 mana open. So if our opponent, and that's going to turn on Inventor's Fair. Well, no, because we're going to sacrifice the Darksteel Citadel. But yeah, our opponent goes for the flashback here. And we get to make 2 1/1s out of the deal, going back up to 7 life, and actually having creatures. I've certainly seen worse games. Like I said at the beginning, this is one of those that definitely feels like a hard matchup for us. So now we get rid of the Ancient Grudge that they free rolled off of the Blood Braid earlier, and we're in the game. We're actually ahead on board even. If our opponent's last card in hand is bad, if it's a land or whatever, we're fine. And we're 1 artifact away from turning on Inventor's Fair. Our opponent's just committed to this Relic too, not wanting to cash it in for a card. Now, what we're really bad against is a Blood Braid Elf, but they didn't have it. Look at that. I'm going to attack with 1 in case they have a million haste creatures, so... Activate only if you control 3 more artifacts. Now, hitting an artifact there would have been big game for us. Allowing us to fair for a bridge or whatever. Or obviously hitting basically any spell there would have been good, to be honest, I suppose. Hitting land was very bad. Oh no. Scavenging Ooze is going to be big. And I think we have 1 Abrupt Decay left, maybe 2. Okay, well, this has not been very lucky. we did so well, I feel like, to get to this point of the game, to give ourselves a chance here against basically the worst matchup, right? An aggressive deck that can get underneath us and then backs it up with not just artifact removal, but Ancient Grudge specifically. And has Blood Braids and so on, right? It's basically the worst matchup for us, and I feel like we did pretty well to get to this point, but now the 2 lands off the top in a row in our 21 land deck. Not exactly what we're going to need. I mean, we're not dead by any means. We can obviously hit a bridge. We can hit a Whir for a bridge. We're far from dead, but we're not looking great either here. And now obviously we have to give up on Inventor's Fair. Yeah, it's kind of a cruel joke actually to draw Sword of the Meek here. Imagine that last turn. That's... Our opponent has one creature in their graveyard. A natural state. Our Sword of the Meek. Sure. And that is why I did not attack. So our opponent can make this thing a 5/5. And we're dead to a lot of stuff here. Gosh, imagine we draw that Sword of the Meek last turn, though. Our opponent would have obviously gone for the natural state or whatever, probably regardless, but we could have activated Inventor's Fair. Or maybe, I guess we would have been 1 mana short. Maybe wouldn't change too much. Either way, things looking pretty ugly for us here. Our opponent hasn't found any more haste creatures to just kill us, I guess, so that's something. Jace would have been good in this situation, I guess. We could bounce the Scavenging Ooze. Let's see what we can draw if we can get out of it. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. No, just kidding. Ah, well, that'll do it. Oh, man, good games. We had shots. We actually played the game pretty well, getting the most value possible, despite all the removal. Double Abrade, Ancient Grudge, Domri Rod. We had a lot going for us, and we had a couple draw steps to get there, and they were land, Sword of the Meek, Mishra's Bauble. So, close, but not quite good enough. Either way, that was a fun one. Thank you for watching, everybody. Tezzerator doing its best in a hard matchup, but it was close. It was good. It was an enjoyable match to play. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler. Here we are with some Tezzerator Karnage. This hand was so close to being good. We do have to mulligan it, though. This one as well. Turns out we need a second mana source for these hands to work. This will do it. There's a third mana source, even. All right. You know what? I've seen worse, to be honest. I've certainly seen worse. So we have an Academy Ruins on top of our deck. I might want to keep it. I don't know. We'll see here. Actually, I'm probably going to shuffle it away because if we draw... on the other hand, well, I say that. Let's see what our opponent does. Oh, they're going to Thoughtseize us. Okay, well, that changes some stuff. Oh, that was an interesting line from our opponent. So now I guess I definitely want the Academy Ruins. I don't know. It was kind of odd. May as well play this out. The Academy Ruins gives us our third land, and now that we're not going to be able to know that we aren't going to be able to cheat too much with the Mox Opals or whatever to speed out a Tezzeret, we're going to need all the lands we can get. Our opponent's obviously on Grixis Delver here. Probably not a great matchup for us. They are pretty weak to Bridge, I believe. Unfortunately, I think we're looking at a turn 2 Gurmag Angler here. Yep. Well, it's a very skillful turn 2 5/5. Delve is such a bad mechanic. Alright, let's go ahead and get our Watery Grave out here. And see if we can handle this Gurmag Angler. Well, that's not the worst. It'll play. Puts us one artifact away from having Metalcraft. No, I mean, I think Delve is just like a bad mechanic. Cost reduction mechanics are never... They're either unplayable or they're broken. That's essentially... there's no in between for cost reduction mechanics that don't have a cap on them, right? Cost reduction mechanics where, you know, by their nature, they can't be reduced by more than 1 or 2 or whatever. And there's some cards like that. Those things are fine, but something like this is just, it's just dumb. You shouldn't be able to play turn 2 5/5s for 1 mana in Modern. But I guess you shouldn't be able to play 1 mana like 12/12s or whatever either, but you can do that. So, all right, let's see if we can get out of this. Sword of Meek would do it. Ripping Sword of Meek off the top. You know, Bobble was a pretty good draw there, to be honest. That was one of the few things we could do that would allow us to play this Tezzeret here. And I think I'm going to plus Tezzeret. I could make, say, the Bobble into a 5/5. Oh, we're going to get Stubborn Denialed. Outplayed again. Okay, well, I think we're going to die. I think we're going to have to crack the Bobble here just because we're going to need the extra cards. Because we basically, I think it's going to be Sword of the Meek or bust here. Our opponent is, we might just be dead. We might just get Lightning Bolted and the game be over. I know that Grixis Delver is not, Grixis Death Shadow is not necessarily broken in the sense of whatever, but it is definitely one of the most frustrating decks to play against in Modern because nothing that your opponent does ever really feels quote-unquote skillful, I suppose is the best way to put it. You know, was it... should I play... It's obviously nothing against the opponent, but should I play my 1 mana 5/5? Oh, should I play my 1 mana 6/6? There's just not a lot you can do against it. There's not a lot of play involved. Like, I think realistically neither player here really made a meaningful decision in this game, which speaks to the problem with the it's a design problem. Well, I guess we just blow our Pentad Prism here. And we should start by making mana here. Have to make a couple chump blocks. We're trying to draw Sword of the Meek, and if we do, we're actually in the game. So I guess we just... I could also put one of these back on top of my deck. That doesn't really do anything for us. But we have to make 2 chump blocks, so I guess we're just going to start by sacrificing the Darksteel Citadel here. Go ahead and sacrifice the Pentad Prism as well. Alright, we'll make double chump blocks if our opponent allows it. Which they will. Okay. And see if we can draw Sword of the Meek off the top. That would work, but it's our only out. And our opponent has to not have Stubborn Denial. Will this work? No. I mean, I can survive for another... I guess we can go to 6, block this, fall to 1, sacrifice this, and preserve the ability to draw our Sword of the Meek to get out of it. That's our only line, that's for sure. It would work, though. Again, assuming no Snapcaster or Stubborn Denial, which is enormously unlikely. And that's not going to do it. Alright, on to game 2 here against Grixis Shadow. I think we're also the kind of deck that Grixis Shadow destroys, so that doesn't help our case any. I wonder if the Ensoul Artifact plane is good. It's just going to be infinite counter spells over there. I think we want Padim. The Planeswalker plane is good. Like, our actual game plan to beat them is good. Pithy Needle doesn't matter. Cage is fine. Damping Sphere is okay. Their deck doesn't have a lot of mana. We do have to make cuts, though. I'm going to cut one Thopter Foundry. I'm going to cut the Damping Sphere. I'm going to cut a Whir of Invention because it's just so bad against Stubborn Denial. And then we need to make one more cut here. Probably a Tezzeret. The problem is Tezzeret's so good on a board, on an empty board. Might just cut a Jar. I don't know what our opponent's artifact hate will look like here. Hopefully our opponent just doesn't have such a good draw this time. Thoughtseize into turn 2 Gurmag Angler into turn 3 Death Shadow is pretty unbeatable for a lot of decks. Into turn 4 Stubborn Denial, I guess, even. Or still turn 3, I don't know. I'm going to cut a Tezzeret. Oh, we're already at 60 here. Okay. I think I want Relic more than Tezzeret, though. The thing is, if we draw a hand with a bunch of Whirs and 4-drops, we're just going to lose to Stubborn Denial, Snapcaster, Stubborn Denial. Now, this hand, though, this I can get behind because we can strip our opponent's early threats and hopefully keep them from killing us, and then, you know, eventually hopefully land a big creature, or rather planeswalker, to try to pull ahead in the long game, because that's what their deck does not do a great job at. Ceremonious Rejection, pretty good against Karn. Problem for us, of course, is that by the time we can play Karn, they can Snapcast their Ceremonious Rejection. So we'll see what we draw here. I don't know if I'm dying to pop Bobble. Especially since our opponent just wants to opt anyways. That said, given that they're just going to opt, I don't really want to Thoughtseize, so I think maybe I just want to draw a 2-drop. So I'll go ahead and look at it. Say Teamer Battle Rage. Okay, good to know. They still have the combo kill in their deck of Teamer Battle Raging a Death Shadow. Hey, there we go. That's pretty good against Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, definitely just going to run it out there. Alright, that'll shut down the Snapcaster Mage. That's a start. That means that getting rid of that Ceremonious Rejection means that our opponent can't actually Ceremonious Reject our Karn. So we might be able to land Karn, and it might be a big Karn. You know, Karn plussing up to 6 immediately is scary. That's a long time for a Snapcaster to kill that. Our opponent bottomed a card with Opt as well. And now they're main phasing Opt, so that's seems good for us. Their hand's full of lands, I think. There's several cards we don't know about, I suppose, but we do know about some of them, and some of them are land. Alright, so I'll go ahead and fetch out our other Watery Grave here in the end step. Although, no, I guess actually I have to get the Breeding Pool so we can cast any Abrupt Decays we draw. Well, I can't Thoughtseize and Foundry. So what I think I'm going to do is Foundry. It seems like this is probably our most likely opportunity to get it into play. It can get Ceremonious Rejected, but it can't get Stubborn Denialed. Another Opt, huh? Okay. Well, now we'll get to, depending on what happens here, if our opponent plays threats, maybe we'll be able to play Karn if we draw land. If not, we'll Thoughtseize them. Or not, because we're going to get Inquisitioned. Although that said, our opponent may want to take our Whir of Invention. Whir of Invention is the scariest card we have. By far. We could also just draw Sword of the Meek. I'd be okay with that. The great thing about Grafdigger's Cage is it specifies creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards and libraries. That means that our Thopter Foundry combo still works. Yeah, they took the Whir of Invention, huh? Okay. I think I'm fine with that. Oh, I have a threat, though. And it is a Gurmag Angler. Alright. Let's see what we hit here. I'll accept a bobble. I'm going to bobble myself to know what we're thinking, what we're looking at here. Cool. Okay, so we're going to draw a second Karn. We'll go ahead and Thoughtseize them here. We're getting beat down. Oh, this could also get Stubborn Denialed, yep. And that's fine. That means they're not Stubborn Denialing our Karn. And we have a second Karn. We still have to hit land, but that said, if we hit land and then just minus Karn, we might be in an okay, or plus Karn, because it wouldn't die. It would go to 6. That would be okay, but we might land to not hitting a 4th mana source here. The good news is that Mox Opal's also on the table here. So we'll see. All right, big draw step here. See what we can do. And it's a really big draw step. And this is almost certainly going to get Stubborn Denied, but I have to play it. I hate this card. God, I hate this card. It's so good. We might just be dead. If our opponent has a fetch shock, that adds 3. Well, that Inquisition's going to miss, but they have a Snapcaster Mage. We take 6 here. See if we hit land, or bridge, or Mox. There's a land. Is that enough to save us? Is that enough to save us if they don't have anything for their Death Shadow? I think that's our only option. We can chump block the Gurmag Angler. So if they hit a shock lane, we're dead. If they hit a fetch lane, we're dead. If they have the Snapcaster Mage, we're still dead. Yeah, I forgot about that. It didn't matter though. I mean, we're sacrificing things to our Thopter Foundry. We're not going to get there that way either. Yeah. Well, we missed land drops for too long there. Our opponent had the oops, wrong game. Winners Fairs. Yeah, I don't know. Our opponent had double Stubborn Denial. The card's pretty unbeatable. Grixis Shadow as a deck is basically unbeatable for any fair decks. And as sweet as our deck is, you know, we have infinite combos clearly. And even if we hit it, we would have won there, even through Stubborn Denial once we have Thopter Foundry in play. So certainly a winnable matchup, but in general, Grixis Shadow is just at its best against decks like ours. So that is unfortunate. Close games, though. If we'd hit the land a turn earlier, resolve Karn, I guess we would have... Well, we would have run it into the Stubborn Denial, but then we could have resolved Bridge if those had been swapped. Regardless, it was a close match. Well, that game was close. Game 1, not so much. But either way, we got to see our deck do its thing. You get to see Grixis Shadow. It's always a good litmus test to play your deck against Grixis Shadow. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everybody.